What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today I want to tell you a story that kind of exemplifies just how well the manipulation of white supremacy has been executed and honed over the course of over 300 years, and how effective its sinister plot to divide really is, and how folks are just like completely unaware of the subtleties. Either that, or I'm going to show you an example of how I'm crazy. One or the other. We're going to figure it out together. So, a fun thing happened recently, last week. Now, if you remember Monday of last week, I spoke to you guys about Bacon's Rebellion, and I told you how, as a result of Bacon's Rebellion, and as a quick recap, poor, indentured servant, whites, and slaves united for the promise of freedom if they won, and overthrew basically the monarchy. They overthrew the government of the time. This is in 1676, long ago. And as a result of that horrifying revelation, the masters of the time, the ruling class of the time, realized that they had to create a system to divide poor whites and poor blacks and keep them divided, and never ever allowing them to align, because if they align, they realized that they were outnumbered by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands to one, millions to one. So they realizing how powerful the people were, they created a system in order to keep the people divided always and never united in common cause. Because if they ever were to unite in common cause, they had the power to overthrow the ruling class. You see, here we had done revolution not once. We didn't just have the Revolutionary War where we overthrew England and kicked them out and established the United States. No, we also defeated the English crown in 1676 at Bacon's Rebellion. Now, it fizzled and a whole system was put in place, but we overthrew the power back then in Jamestown, which was the first town established in the Northern American continent. So, got to keep that in mind. So anyway, we talked about that last week, and as a result of Bacon's Rebellion, white supremacy was created and laws were enacted, and so they started using race to divide the people up. Now, I say that it's been honed so perfectly because that became the established rule, and that was before the United States was ever actually a country. And that's how the ruling class structured everything post Bacon's Rebellion, was focus on race, keep them divided, keep them poor. Now you fast forward to today's day and age, right? You're talking about over 300 years of honing this manipulation that has been in effect every day through legislation and through all types of other things. And we can go through a timeline of history and find the parts where you see white supremacy being enacted and ruled and moved, and race being used as dividing points. You can see it. You see it through the Civil War. You see it through the labor movement in the early 1800s. You see it through Jim Crow. You see race being used over and over and over again. And so something happened last week where we were at work, and we were just having a casual conversation, very casual. And a friend of mine, we'll call him Mumbles. Mumbles, is your average normie white dude. Very, very normal white guy. Very cool guy. Love Mumbles. Mumbles was asked by another person, hey, what do you think of Trump? Now, Mumbles is not a conservative. He's not MAGA. He's really run-of-the-mill. He kind of takes a blasé attitude towards everything, but he generally supports the morally right thing. So on that compass, he's not part of the MAGA movement. He doesn't support Trump and this type of stuff. But somebody asked him, hey, what do you think about Trump? And mind you, Mumbles is my riding buddy, so we ride all the time together, and so he knows a lot more than the average Joe as far as the world around us, and he's heard my spiel over and over again. And so he knows all the bad things, right, that Trump has done. He knows all of the negative stuff. All the stuff that, like, if you asked me, hey, what do you think about Trump? I'd say he's a terrible person, terrible human being. He represents the worst of everything about humanity. He's the greediest. He's the most racist. He's the weirdest. He's the sickest. Like, I would say that he embodies the worst parts of humanity. Simple for me, right? Well, Mumbles is asked, hey, what do you think about, things that are going on? You know all the stuff that's going on. Of course you guys know. And Mumbles goes, well, he's a weird dude. And I found it eye-opening. Eye-opening, because here you have your average Joe Blow, white dude, regular guy, and he could not bring himself to say that Trump is a terrible human being. And in that, the subtlety of the manipulation and the propaganda is revealed. It should be easy to call out something obviously bad. But because of 300 years of honing this manipulation, Mumbles couldn't even bring himself to utter the words. He's a bad guy. He's a terrible person. Now, if you were to ask Mumbles the same question about Diddy, too easy. Oh, he's effed up, too easy. And rightfully so, too easy. But it's the subtlety and the reluctance to see bad actions by someone of your own race, of your own, part of this false structure that was created over 300 years ago. If you're a part of that team, you give them the benefit of the doubt, regardless. And it was just an eye-opening thing. And if you think about it, every leader that's ever gotten us past the superficial, and gotten us to understand that we're facing the same struggles and the same problems regardless of what we look like, every leader that has been able to bridge that gap is taken away from us too early. They're killed, they're assassinated, they're murdered. You think about a Fred Hampton, 21-year-old kid, young man, able to bring the young patriots and the young lords together with the Black Panthers in unity for Rainbow Coalition, and he was described as the most dangerous person in America because he was able to bridge that gap and make people understand that their problems are class level problems. It's not race that is used as a dividing tool. It's not that. You can hate me all you want on your side of the block, that's fine, but let's get public school funded. You know what I mean? Hate me from afar, but let's make sure our kids have a good school to go to. Let's make sure that we got good health care. We can take ourselves to the hospital if we need to. We have to see past the dividing things, But it's such a well thought out and executed plan. This white supremacy thing it's diabolical. It's genius what the ruling class created in 1677 as a result of the commoners rising up against them. They created white supremacy. And to this day, hundreds of years later, it's still quite effective. And we're watching it in real time as it destroys the Constitution, as it destroys the norms, throws away people's rights, and folks are cool with it. Wild times. But we will, I think that eventually we'll see through the fog on our own. Things will get bad enough that we'll be like, yo, this is bullcrap. And see where we go from there. Until then, I still believe a general strike is the only real action that the people can take in order to overcome this madness and put a stop to it. One man from the seat of his pickup truck. You're watching Union Minded. Remember that the fight's not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one. Get out there and reach one. And remember that there can be no union without you and I front and center. So let's go. Peace.